This is the beginning of part 2 of lecture 25. We're continuing on from Unit 9, Week 12, lecture 25. This is part 2. In this lecture, we're going to relate the chemical structure of lipids, which you just learned in part 1, to the physical properties of those lipids and the physiologic effects of eating different types of lipids. Okay, so we're going to relate the chemical structure of lipids to the physical properties and the physiologic effects. Physiologic effects of eating different types of lipids. Okay. This table is from your book, and this table shows the composition of the fatty acid chains associated with the triglycerides that make up these various types of lipids. Now notice that we have several oils and we have fat. Beef tallow is also beef fat. And so first of all, distinguish for yourself the difference between an oil and a fat. Well, chemically, both oils and fats are made of triglycerides. The difference is, physically, oils are a liquid at room temperature and pressure, and fats are a solid or semi-solid. But they're both made of triglycerides. It's the fatty acids on the triglycerides that determine the melting point of the triglyceride. Okay? Saturated fatty acids, the percent saturated fatty acid is going to, those fatty acid side chains that are saturated can pack together closer, so they have stronger intermolecular forces, so they're going to tend to exist as a solid or a semi-solid at room temperature and pressure, whereas the oils that tend to have more monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids, those fatty acid chains, side chains, cannot pack together as close, so the dispersion forces aren't as strong. That's why they exist as oil, which we would consider a liquid at room temperature and pressure. So looking at this graph here, you can see that, for example, olive oil, the way you read this is the number of grams of fat per tablespoon of the oil or fat. And so in this case, there's 10 grams of monounsaturated fat, and it's mostly oleic acid. The word oleic acid comes from the word olive, oleic acid. So olive oil is high in oleic acid, which is a monounsaturated fatty acid. Safflower oil is very high in oleic acid as well, and other monounsaturated. Linoleic acid and linolenic acid, those are the two essential fatty acids. That's the red bars and the green bars. So you can see that, for example, flaxseed oil, which is considered to be very good for you, has a very high alpha linolenic acid composition, and as well as linoleic. So it's high in these necessary fatty acids. So we know we have to have some of these essential fatty acids in our diet, and so you have to have some fat in your diet. So it's wise to choose a fat that would be considered more of a healthy fat. Canola oil is considered better than peanut oil because peanut oil has more saturated fatty acids. The reason why unsaturated fatty acids are better to have in your diet is because studies have shown people who have a diet where their fat content is higher, or in this case, their triglyceride content has more unsaturated fatty acids, those people tend to be more healthy. So just based on looking at diet versus health, a diet higher in unsaturated fatty acids is healthier. Okay. So if we look again at this table, just to remind ourselves, the most common saturated fatty acids are stearic acid and palmitic acid in the diet, and those are saturated 18 or 16 carbon chains. You can see the melting point is 70 or 63 degrees Celsius, so you have to warm it up pretty warm to get it to melt. Whereas linolenic and linoleic acid are all the way down -5, -11. So even below 0, they're still existing as a liquid. All right, so again, it has to do with the physical properties of these fatty acids that would be chemically bound to the glycerol backbone. The physical properties are dependent on the number of double bonds, or we'd say the sites of unsaturation, okay, to give them the physical properties. All right, and we also said that diets that where people have more unsaturated fatty acid in their diet are healthier. The people are healthier. And when there's actual evidence for that, people that have a diet that's high in unsaturated fats as opposed to saturated fats have less plaque buildup in their arteries. Okay, so there's evidence. It's not just that they feel better or are not as fat. They literally, the insides of their bodies look better.